Have you ever listened to a beautiful sample and thought to yourself, I want to make a new sample out of this? No? Just me? Anyways, in this video I'm gonna show you how I turned this sample into this. First of all, the original sample is by Cyclope and Ty, two incredibly talented producers. If you don't know them, definitely check them out. So I think the most important thing about flipping a sample is having an idea. You don't just want to put a random melody over it and call it a day. At least that's not my approach. So I was listening to the sample a few times. I think I actually planned on making a beat with it. While listening, I immediately kind of had this vocal idea in my head with these pitched down vocals that go like... And that's how I started flipping the sample. So I tried writing some bars that went along with what I had in mind. I didn't really care too much about what I was saying. The lyrics I ended up with are like really basic, corny, and don't really make too much sense. But for vocals and beats and samples, the meaning of the words don't really matter, honestly. So I mainly made sure to have the right amount of syllables and the right words that go along with the ba-da-ba-da-ba. And this is what I came up with. Baby, wanna ride, I just go and slide in it like... Baby, get it right like... And now I had a problem. I'm sure you know the feeling of like hearing yourself in voice memos or videos and cringing because of the way you sound. By now I'm kinda over that already because I'm used to making videos and hearing myself. But when I was hearing myself rapping like that, I was reminded of like how cringe it can be to hear your own voice. But luckily the sponsor of this video, Audemy, could help me with that. Audemy is a website where you can process your vocals using AI to sound like someone completely different. So let me show you how easy it is and what I did for my vocals. So I just exported my vocals and uploaded them to Audemy. You can do all kinds of fancy stuff, like for example making harmonies, making your own AI voices, mixing voices. But for this I kept it as simple as possible. I actually used two different voices for these. I used Ray and Joey. You can actually use auto-tune or edit the pitch of your vocals manually, but since these are like rap vocals or spoken words, we don't need that. For Ray I pitched the vocals down 2 semitones, and for Joey I pitched them up 1 semitone. When you pitch them like this, you don't actually get the typical pitch down kind of sound. It's pretty much just like having your vocalist singing it in a lower key. So it still sounds natural, it's just a deeper or higher voice. And I used 2 voices to make it sound a bit thicker and almost have like the sound of having recorded doubles for the vocals.
Baby, wanna ride, I just go and slide in it like, take it time. Baby, get it right like...
If you want to check out Audemy for yourself, I leave a link in the description. And if you decide to go for a paid plan, you can use my code Lucid20 for 20% off. So thanks a lot Audemy for sponsoring this video and for once again saving my vocals. So now that I had these vocals, I only had to process them a bit. First of all, I pitched them down. Then I added an EQ to take out lows and highs, a little bit of the fast distortion and little radiator, just to add a bit more grit and make it sound more sampled. Another EQ and then a transient master to kind of make them a bit more punchy and emphasize the transients. And then I actually routed that to a delay bus, and on there I added a delay, turning the dry signal all the way down to only have the delay signal. And after that I sidechained it with a limiter, and like that the delay is not playing over the vocals the entire time, it's only playing in the breaks of the vocals. And then to make it sound a bit more interesting, just a little bit of reverb and the panning automation.
Baby, wanna ride, I just go and slide in it like, take it time. Baby, get it right like...
So I really liked the vibe that the vocals gave the sample. It was exactly what I had in mind. But listening to it a few times, I kind of realized that they get annoying pretty quickly. So to fix that, I didn't want to have them playing the entire time. So I chopped them up a bit and I kept it very simple. I pretty much just have 1 bar of the vocals and then I left the next bar empty.
Baby, wanna ride, I just...
And I also took out most of the elements of the original sample to have more freedom with like adding my own stuff and to have more space. And I only kept the synth pad and some synth accents from the sample. And for the pad I actually went along with the vocals and chopped it up in the same way.
Baby, wanna ride, I just... Get it right like... light. Come aside. Come slide with me, baby. Come and ride with me.
So now I had all these empty spaces and I decided to fill them up with, you guessed it, even more vocals. And for that I actually used the vocals of the original sample. I chopped them up using Fruity Slicer and then played around on my MIDI keyboard to find like the best chops and the bounce I wanted. And if you look closely, I have some of these very small notes and these are actually slide notes. If you didn't know, you can also use them in the slicer, and I'm pretty much using them to pitch some of the chops. And that way I could get the exact notes that I had in mind. Listen to it without the slide notes. And now with the slide notes. Even just these few notes make a huge difference. I think like this they make much more sense together. For the effects we have an EQ, then little alter boy, which is definitely the most important effect on here. I'm bringing the formants down to have this
Pitch down kind of feeling.
then again some radiator, EQ and transient master like on the other vocals. And I'm actually routing that to the same delay bus as well.
Baby, wanna ride it. Get it right light. Come aside. Come slide with me.
So now I had this very cool, unique foundation, and I knew I had to come up with a very catchy bass line to like bring everything together. For that I used this bass sound in Triton, and I added some effects with the goal of making it stand out more and making the high end a bit more interesting. First an EQ to boost the highs, decapitator for a bit of distortion, and then I used a frequency splitter to route only the high frequencies to a new mixer track, and on there I added some chorus and a transient master, this time to make the transients a bit softer. And I also turned these high frequencies more stereo with this knob. I also added a little pitch automation at the end of the pattern to make the bass wiggle a bit and kinda go along with the vocal chops.
Baby, wanna ride it. Get it right light. Come aside. Come slide with me.
With that, the heart of the sample, or like the most important elements, are done now. So now it's only about little accents and making it sound a bit cooler. And first I wanted to support the chords a bit, and I used my acoustic guitar for that, playing them in a very simple pattern. Once again, kind of going along with the pauses of the main vocals. I didn't want the guitar to stand out too much, so I added some effects to drown it out a bit. First of all, this pitch shifter to add a very quiet, subtle layer of the lower octave. And if you don't have this plugin, I really recommend it. It's completely free and I use it all the time. Then some guitar rig on the water preset, and I know you've been waiting for it, fruity flanges, and then just some EQ to clean it up a bit. After that I just added a few very subtle accents. I actually added some percussion sounds at first, making some patterns, but I felt like it was all getting a bit too much. It was feeling kind of messy, so I just deleted all of that, and instead I only used some very subtle like breathing percussion, like the kind of stuff. And I finished it off with a record scratch and a good old wah effect. I think this sample really shows how important it is to only use and keep the most catchy elements you can come up with, because while making this I had to experiment and play around a lot, and also end up deleting a few elements and ideas to make sure it sounds as simple and catchy as possible. Because when you have very interesting elements like the two different vocals in this, for example, or the catchy bass line, you really want to put them into the front of the sample and let them shine, but that also means you have to be very selective with everything else you add and make sure there's still enough space for these main elements. So again, for this we pretty much only have the bass line, the vocals, and maybe the guitar, and everything else is just there to build the atmosphere around these elements. For the second section of the sample, I kept it very simple, and I really made use of the fact that I was already working with a finished sample. So I used the sign pad, the vocals, the synth accents, the bass line, and the percussion of the original sample, barely adding any effects at all because it was already sounding great, and I only added my guitar. Call me lazy, but I don't care, it sounds dope this way. And after that I got even lazier and only used the bass line, the vocals, and my guitar, and that's a full sample. I hope this video could inspire you to maybe experiment a bit and also like embrace the ideas you have when listening to something. Again, check out Cyclope and Ty, who made the original sample. Thanks a lot Automie for sponsoring this video, check them out as well. Again, everything is in the description. Also check out my Lucid Weekly subscription as always. And yeah, thanks for watching.